All right, so today's video, we are doing Reddit Reacts. First question is, I don't mean to sound stupid, but how is Ana a Brawl support? I always thought Ana would make sense with a poke comp, but I routinely hear people like Spylo say she is Brawl. I've only been playing the game since February, so I take his word for it. But in my head, she just screams poke. She relies sightlines, she's pretty diveable. I know she has sleep, but at times can be easy to force. And has low mobility. I mean, she even has a long distance scope. All of those points to a poke support because you want to play at range. Have I not understood the different type of comps? I mean, well, Ana can enable Brawl comps, right? I think that's really like all it is like, I think sometimes when you talk about Brawl or poke or any various comps, it's like, there's a lot of like nuance to it, and it isn't just quite as, it's not as simple as like, oh, Ana has this, go that. Ana can enable those comps, right? I do think that Ana is just kind of like a jack of all trades in comps. Like you can run poke, you can run Brawl. But like a lot of poke comps are like, let's say they have Orisa, like would be if you slow those comps down, you would like run like BAP and stuff. So Ana just kind of fits into a lot of comps, and that's how I see it. Obviously, I'll read the comments, kind of see what people put because there was an edit there and stuff. But it's really not like one of those things where don't think that, okay, when we think about Brawl comps, don't think about it as like you're in a circle with 5 people running at a team. Ana can still be in a Brawl comp and do exactly what is said here, but be a part of a Brawl comp. Let's say that, you know, you have a Brawl-based comp, whether it's Ramattra or Rein, and you're being really aggressive with Brawl, and you're playing Ana, the team is going to be focused on the Brawl core, which means the Ana has free reign in the back, and can use Ana Grenade to help in a Brawl comp. Things like that. Do you see what I'm saying? So Ana's kind of like, you'll see Ana in dive comps, Ana Brig. You'll see Ana in Brawl comps. We'll just go with Rein to kind of go basic with that one. You can see Ana in poke comps, right? Ana just kind of is played in so many different comps. So I would say, don't be like, oh, I can only play Ana in this comp. Ana's kind of played in a bunch of different comps. So I hope that's helpful, because it's not just as simple as like, oh, Brawl, go this. That's what I'm saying. Like, Ana Brig Winston is a pro comp. You literally run a dive comp with Ana. Are you diving with Ana? No. But are you enabling your dive with Ana? Yes. It says right here, oh yeah, exactly. It's her nade. Brawl increases the odds of hitting your team and the enemy. Exactly. So if your team brawls in, you throw an Ana Grenade in, even at that distance, you purple them, you heal your teammates. It gives you burst heals for like the, whatever the Brawl hero is. Could be a Juno now, could be a Lucio. It allows for the AoE heals to be a lot more. So, yeah, Ana just kind of enables all of these different comps. So don't look at it as like, I can't play Ana in a Brawl comp, I can't play Ana in a poke comp, I can't play Ana in a, you know, in a dive comp. You can pretty much play Ana in all of those comps. So, yeah, that's pretty simple on that one. And then I think that top comment was pretty solid. So, next one. This question is, what is zonin? This question has been in my mind for a while. What is meant by zonin? Who can do it, and why should it be done? From context of watching streamers and guides, my understanding is that zoning is when you cause an enemy to separate from each other, cut some off from the others, especially supports from tank, but not necessarily, in an effort to deny healing or burst damage or to cause the enemy to be down in resources and or use more resources to regroup or make them have to disengage. Hanzo ults are often used in this way. Clearly, it's a struggle for me to explain why I'm not sure I have a understanding of. So, what are the who, what, when, where, why, and how, and why, and who, and me, and there, and why, how of zoning? There's a lot of who, what, when, where, how, and why's there. It's pretty simple as this. Let me ask you this question, because I think this will kind of simplify everything for you. If I'm playing Sigma, a hero that I always talk about as a zone-in type of tank, you zone out areas. If you're hiding behind a wall, and I'm playing Sigma, and I'm spamming that wall, I'm zoning out the area with my damage. You zone out the area. You take away that damage. If you're Ana in that situation, do you want to just stand there and take the poke damage? Are you able to play that spot? No, you can't. You're probably going to die to that. There's too much damage from Sigma now, especially with the recent changes. Which means I'm zoning out the area. Hanzo ultimate, right? Hanzo ult, while one of the worst ults in the game, the reason why it can be known as a zoning ult is because you want to go to an area, and you know that you can deny a part of the map to force their team into an area, which means you're zoning out an area, right? You're making that area impossible to push into and forcing them to either back away to a different area or go into your team, which zones them out. And that's what it does. Obviously, there's memes like if you miss a grab, you go, oh, it's a zone and grab, right? Technically, it's correct, but like, yeah, you see what I'm saying? That's what you do. Yeah, Junkrat here was like that. So it's really just basically denying space with damage or, you know, a utility, and then you can't play there because of that, which means you can't play in an area. You're taking away that area. And so, yeah. And the comment says, it just means taking space, essentially, in any of the ways that is applicable. Denying the opposition a particular position of the map. For example, a Hanzo and Dragon in the payload. Yeah. To be honest, I hear zoning from streamers mostly in a tongue-in-cheek fashion. Exactly. That's pretty much what I said. It's like, you have a bad ultimate, you go, oh, I zoned that. Like, technically, it's correct, but, like, you're memeing it. But, yeah, that's what zoning is. It's just controlling an area. That's why I always say, like, Sigma's about zoning an area and map control more than about trying to play like Reinhardt. Next one. How to deal with ball as a tank. I'm a tank main, and I really struggle against ball players. I'm mid to high plat, so any ball mains have a decent mechanical skill. I also main Doomfist, but I switch according to what supports best fit our team, which is what I do. I often try to ignore ball or punch him to break his momentum. But when I have a Genji or Tracer on my team, it seems the DPS is too low to burst him down. Sometimes I go Roadhog to hook him in and try to communicate. I need to follow up to bring him down, or I need follow-up. Any other advice, or is it just that my mechanical skill is too low? It's not your mechanical skill. Ball is meant to survive team fights. Let me kind of explain this. Ball is a hero that is generally meant to survive team fights. It really comes down to the uptime of Ball, right? That's how you basically disrupt a Wrecking Ball. Don't always worry about killing a Wrecking Ball. Just worry about disrupting their cooldown rotation. Let me ask you this question. You can't always kill a Tracer in your backline, but if you shoot a Tracer and you get them to, like, you know, 40% HP, unless that Tracer's looking to go back to spawn by you killing them, the Tracer's probably going to run away. You get what I'm saying? Like, the Tracer's going to leave. Take that same knowledge for, like, Wrecking Ball, where Wrecking Ball is basically designed to, like, be a disruptor in the backline, but not necessarily get a kill. Most of the time, your supports can deal with the ball. Not all the time. I mean, if you're running, like, I'll give an example of a comp. You know, like Mercy Moira, it's a lot less peel. You don't have as much utility, right? A lot of the time, you don't really have to kill a Wrecking Ball. You just need to basically force him out. So don't worry about not getting the killing ball. Just make the ball have to go and reset all their cooldowns so their gameplay loop isn't engaging your team every 10 seconds and it's engaging your team every 20 seconds, 25 seconds. That's really it. And you know, obviously you can go Sombra nowadays, but even Sombra's in a really scuffed spot. So it's like, that's pretty much it. My recommendation, coming from somebody who, you know, has had to play against, like, really top-tier Wrecking Balls a lot of the time, you know what I realized was the #1 thing for me, unless the Wrecking Ball player just is absolutely, like, hecking up their cooldowns? I have to ignore them. I just go in, I trade backlines. I look at it as, like, if their ball is making pressure on our backline, then I need to go and do the same type of play. So it's very situational, but I think a lot of the time it's just disrupt their play. Don't worry about getting the kill on Wrecking Ball. That's how I take it. #1 comment here says, I ignore him 90% of the time and go at his backline. He doesn't have particularly great kill potential, so if his team can't follow up, he's not really doing anything except being annoying. Exactly. So basically, disrupt their play. Don't worry. The more you overcommit to trying to kill a ball is usually when you lose to a ball, is basically what I'm saying. It doesn't mean ignore the ball. Like, let me rephrase that, because I said ignore the ball. I'm talking from the tank point of view, ignoring the ball. As long as your teammates are doing enough pop shots into the Wrecking Ball, they're not going to feel safe to go for that. Also, denying health packs can be huge. Like, if you're playing against a good ball, if you can deny health packs, especially like the megas at, like, close range, ball can't do anything. This one says, how to deal with Reinhardt as Sigma. Hey there, I've been playing Overwatch on and off since 2019 and began playing competitive in Season 4 of Overwatch 2. I play mostly Sigma, but flex onto D.Va and Winston when the situation calls for it. It feels the only way I'm able to beat a good Rein is if I'm running a full pull comp with my DPS pressure and his shield. I try to rock squishies and pressure them with my primary, but the Rein is able to hold shield past the choke and I cannot do anything about it without help. Should I back up and just give him space? Yes. I try to cut off his heals with my shield and go for his backline when he extends too far, but I feel like I am losing all of the space my team works so hard to get for free. The problem is much worse on defense or maps without good high ground. I am in low diamond for reference. Any help would be greatly appreciated. I mean, you kind of have the right idea. We're not going to talk about swapping right now, chat, because I think they want to play Sigma. It's as simple as this. You hold space with damage, you back up as you lose that space, and we just talked about it, you zone out an area. A lot of people try to play Sigma as Reinhardt or Brawl the Rein. You're at a huge disadvantage when you do that. That's why, like, Against a Rein, all you need to do, this doesn't mean that you're going to win every single team fight against a Rein, but what you need to do is keep backing up. That's it. You just keep backing up, you keep backing up, and yes, you give up the space, but at that point, it's also on the team to be able to help you. You eventually will be able to grind a shield down, and like, if their Rein goes for you, but that's basically what you do. An example, let's say you're playing, you know, Circuit Royale, right, as Sigma. You start at the front on defense, the Rein's there, you back up, you back up, you back up, you shoot the shield, you keep backing up, you control space, and then you rinse and repeat that, you know? And that's it. Like, you have the right idea. You have to give up the space against Rein, but you also want to poke the Rein as you're doing that. If you do that, it can be difficult for Rein at times. I will say the one type of Reinhardt player I'll struggle against is the aggressive one. So if the Reinhardt charges in on you, that's a different story. You have to kind of understand their play style. So if you have a Rein who's just a shield holding Steve, right? You're gonna just break their shield the whole time. If you have a charge in Charlie, then you need to adjust your play style, maybe, you know, go for more rocks, preemptively, you know, get into position sooner. But that's basically where I'm at with that one. You have the right idea. You do have to give up the space, and it's also is on your team to help you a little bit. The 1v1 is not an ideal matchup for you, but it's a winnable matchup. And remember, as I always say, do not play Sigma like Reinhardt. You are Sigma, you zone out areas with your damage. Remember that. What's the point of matching the enemy team's character? When someone is doing well in a game, tends to usually be the tank or DPS. It's very common for the enemy team to then swap to the same character that's given them trouble. And I've always wondered what's the point of doing this exactly. I can guess and say that it's maybe all about throwing the same strong abilities that are giving you trouble right back at them, but is there more to it than that? In a game like that, my thought process isn't to just play the same character, as they are, since if so they're good at them, I'll probably lose the 1v1 anyway. I'd probably swap to something that isn't necessarily a soft counter, but something I have more experience with into the matchup. I main Echo. Not that many people play her at my rank, Gold, so when I'm doing well on her and I see the enemy DPS swap to her as well, I instantly know it's to match me. But it's very easy to notice when they don't play the hero that much by how they use her cooldowns, and they end up playing worse than before. So sometimes I can't help but wonder, why bother playing a character you're obviously not that good at to begin with simply to match someone else? Apologies if this was already answered somewhere else. It's just a question I've had in my brain for a while now, and I don't see high-level players even explain the thought process behind matching either. I find it as three different things. Now, I'll talk from the tank perspective. I know this is from a DPS perspective. One, people say it's the ego matchups. I mean, you got to do it, right? You got to do the ego matchup. Two, it's the frustration level. You said it yourself, you're playing well on Echo, right? So imagine if an Echo's popping off. Well, your mindset's like, well, if that Echo's popping off, this seems like a good idea, right? Let me try going Echo. I mean, I have to. Or like, for example, Widow versus Widow. Circuit Royale, you know, is a map where, or like Third Point Havana, you might have to go Widow just because the strength of a hero there. They're not trying to necessarily match you, but you need to go that character because, like, it's the best possible hero for that, and there's nothing you can do unless you go that, right? Number three, and this is where I usually do, because people see me mirror the other tank a lot, I just know in the counter-swap Carl world, where everybody wants to counter-swap me, what happens if I go the same hero as them? And then it becomes a mind game, because if I can play the hero even remotely decent, not as well, and if they start to struggle, they're going to swap. And eventually I can swap them into a rotation that I want. So that's why I do that, right? Hey, they have a Zarya? I'm going Zarya. Well, what's going to happen if they counter swap? Well, now I can go a hero that is better against, I can go D.Va, right? Because they're going to counter swap to something against my Zarya because they're like, oh, well, they're on Zarya now. I'm going to counter swap, right? So a lot of players just play the counter swap game. For me personally, I'm like, all right, sounds good to me. Like, heck yeah, let's do it. Like, I'll go Zarya. So there's different philosophies to it. Sometimes there's also matchups. Like, hey, you're on Echo, but like the other team has a Mercy, and Echo Mercy can make more sense. So there's just a lot of variables. I don't think it's like as simple as just like one-to-one. This is why people do it. I think there's a lot of different variations. Number one comment says, sometimes it's strategy related, where the best way to handle a character is with a mirror. Widow, for example, yep. But most of the time it comes down to a player refusing to admit they're getting diffed and blame it on the broken character. If you're going to play this OP character, so will I. Let's see how you like it. I mean, that can be a thing. Like I said, for me, I just do it because I can win the counter swap game at that point. Because if I mirror them, what are you going to do? What's your counter swap now? Then it goes into my ballpark. Except for Ryan. You're not going to see me counter swap Ryan. Comp anxiety and shame. Hi guys, I'm an autistic girl, PC hit scan player. Well, just so everybody knows, I'm also on the spectrum. I tell people about this occasionally on stream. Most people on chat know, but sometimes I let people know. I am also on the spectrum. So when I play comp, my aim always gets extremely shaky, and I become anxious, stressed out, and ashamed on every missed shot. I play Ashe the most, but the social anxiety and panic makes me scared to scope, shoot on her, so I have only been picking soldier. Yet I can't ever finish a kill. I play submissively and very clumsily, die a lot. Everybody else in comp is so confident. Try to make play and take a duel. Meanwhile, I can't build the courage or calmness to do it. I have been on a loss streak, so I'm covered with shame, and I know that I don't deserve the rank. I know the solution is to play more, but I feel so shameful of myself for always having the least damage and most deaths. I try to aim train, but no matter how many hours I put in, my aim in game would get affected by anxiety and panic. You guys know how to overcome this fear that stands in the way of my performance? Here's what I'll say, and this is just advice I can give. Chat knows I can be, like, super hard on myself. Like, I can get, like, chat knows it. Like, I can be, like, I could go and make, you know, a bunch of plays, and I'm like, damn it, I should have done better here. Like, this is what it is. What I'll say is this. It's okay to miss your shots, okay? It's okay. We all miss our shots. It's okay to have a bad game. And the most important thing that I've had to learn as I've gotten older, especially, it comes down to caring a lot about what other people think. And as I've gotten older, the less that I care about what people think about how I'm playing and realize that they probably don't care, the better I get at everything I do, whether it's in video games or life. I would say the best thing that I can do in this situation for you is just recognize that it's okay to have bad games. It's okay to have, you know, rough games, missed shots, etc. You just do you, focus on just having a good time, and the rest will fall in place. And yeah, and like people say, it's a game. So I would say just go in there with the mindset of like, hey, we're going to have a good time. I'm going to miss shots. I'm going to hit shots. And when you start to do that, like you mentioned the aim training thing, like the aim training thing isn't bad to do, but just go in there and do your best to just like, and like I said, it's easier said than done. And it doesn't happen overnight. It can be one game at a time. Go in there, have a good time, and it will all fall into place. That's how I do things. I used to care a bit more about that type of stuff. Like, oh, you know, I can't win this matchup. But then the more I practice it, and the more I recognize that, like, hey, no, sometimes I'm hitting every shot, and sometimes I'm you know, drawing lines around them, and you know, it looks like it's like a crime scene, right? Like, you know, it's like that is just how it goes with that. Once again, one game at a time. You can easily do it, and the more that you pick up that confidence and like being able to just go out there and hit those shots, once it starts clicking, it starts clicking, and when it clicks, it'll start to pop off. It's a lot harder to give like that type of advice because everybody's so different. So I can only speak from my experiences. So like obviously like it's not as clear cut as just do this, and you're good to go. But I always just remind people, one game at a time. Your teammates, even if you have that one person on your team who's like, you suck. Meanwhile, that person probably is missing all their shots too. One game at a time. Focus on what you can control, which is what you're doing, and just do your best, one game at a time, one day at a time. And the people who will get angry are just they're gonna get angry at anything. They're gonna be like they're gonna get mad going to the fridge. Like they're gonna get mad, you know, walking outside to get the mail. Like the grass is still, you know. I hope that's helpful. It's a hard answer because, like I said, everybody's different with how they react, and I can only speak from my experiences. But the less that I've cared about what people think about things, the better it's gotten for me, which is easier said than done. I mean, what's an example? Okay, I'll give you an example. I've had people tell me like, oh, I love your stream, but I hate your voice. I can't control that, right? I can't. I cannot control that. So I had to stop. While it affected me early on, I had to stop caring about it as much because like I can't control that. What can I do? So like I just do my thing and have fun. But when I learned not to care about it, it got a lot better. So what my point is like, that's what's helped me a lot in life is just like, the less I care about what people think about that's like me or like stuff, I just do my thing and have a good time. So last one here. Why do people reply with your KD? As of recently, thanks to the Drive event, I have been playing more competitive and I've noticed an ongoing trend. Whenever myself or another member of the team suggests something for the betterment of the team, like a hero swap or to take a different path instead of charging down main, they respond with your KD or say something along the lines of you're going 5-5, shut up. A majority of the times when this happens, the entire team has a negative KD because of being stomped in the first round. Is there a reason for this outside of bruised egos and stubbornness? Or do people really think KD means everything in-game? All I kept seeing was Kevin Durant during this when saying KD. But I'll be real with you. It really is just an ego thing most of the time. I see people type... You know what I do? You know what I do when people type the scores to people? I just type my score when it's bad. That's my, and they don't know what to do. Like, they'll be like going at my teammate 5 and 5, and I'm like 6 and 7, and I just type 6 and 7. And they don't know what to do. They're like, well, no, I'm like, I just type my score. I don't care. I'm 6 and 7. You're gonna crap my teammate for being 5 and 5? Well, guess what? You know, what are you gonna do now? Huh? What, you gonna yell at me? I just go, as that was happening, I just got headshot. I'm 6 and 8 now. What are you gonna do? I'm 1 away from saying nice. Yeah, I mean, people do that. I don't get it. I think that there's a lot more to, like an example, I see people will have like a Mercy that reses them every single time. They die again later on. They have double the deaths, and people are like, dude, I can't believe you have 11 deaths, you idiots. Like, dude, I got rezzed in the middle of a team fight 5 times. Like, are you even looking at what's happening? Sometimes people just care too much about it. I just say, I just type my own KD. You know, is it a little bit petty? Maybe, but I don't know, dude. Like, I wouldn't look too deeply into it. I think people sometimes just want to blame somebody for why they're losing. They always want to pinpoint it at somebody else. It's also why during my spectators, I always stress, like, people are like, oh, what do you mean? This person sucked, that person sucked. You can be right, they had a bad game, but like the one thing that I can focus on, especially in a solo queue environment, is what I do. And when you do that, you improve in anything, right? You look in the mirror, you improve at what you can improve at, because you're the one who can control that stuff. You can't control what your teammates are doing. And if you're so worried about a bunch of other different stuff, and that's why I always say I just focus on what I can improve on. That's how I do things. And obviously, like I said, as I've gotten older, I get better at that, right? I also want to point out to people, like, my mindset, I'm 34 now, right? Like, as you get older, like, you know, things shift, like how you are, like when you're younger, you can be, you know, it's just like, it's different, right? So point I'm making is, even if now you get frustrated in game, that can shift over years, right? It just takes time and one day at a time. So hope that's helpful. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about people replying with your KD. I always just, I usually look at that as, like, I take it with a grain of salt, because it's not the overall thing. And if people are worried about kill death ratio in Overwatch, that's a big issue. Obviously, if you're 0-25, there's an underlying issue there, but it's very rare going to be 0-25. That's part I would just throw in. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, the Reddit Reacts. I like doing these, so let me know if you want to see more of them. We do them a little bit further in between, so if you like the video, subscribe to the YouTubes, all 3 of them. Leave a comment. What else we got here? Oh, yeah, if you want to, like, put stuff for Reddit Reacts, you can go to my Discord, probably a section there. We also record these, oh, yeah, my Discord, just anything for that. We also record these live on stream. If you look below the webcam, you can see the Twitch chat. We also stream on YouTube, so stop by if you haven't. With that being said, I hope you have an amazing day/night.